Hello, and welcome to Special Stage, which is what we're going to be calling all our little podfasts where we discuss the news. It's a technical thing. I like having little, divisions here and there just to make things confusing and yet organised at the same time. You'll get used to it. Anyway, we are doing our E3 Roundup, in which we discuss all the things E3 related, which, as long as they're pertaining to Sonic, that is. On today's panel, we have... Oh, someone just left us. Blazy.
Yo.
Garaco.
Hello.
Panzer.
Why does Mario have better lyrical themes than Sonic now?
Does he? Yoto.
Sonic needs to go back to the jazz generation.
And, well, so I think Simple was with us, but then he left or something.
Vanished.
I don't know what he...
We'll return shortly, hopefully.
Hopefully
maybe.
he'll return.
See.
Oh, Rick.
There's a Rick.
There's a Rick. Rick.
Simple turned into Rick.
What an evolution. Rick, hang on, let me just put a message saying we started.
Rick, I think you're going to want to drop out on this one.
Well, we're going to start with Sonic Mania, Rick, and I know you really want to avoid spoilers of Sonic Mania, so you might want to just deafen your microphone, or your hearing even.
And then we'll let you know when we go to Forces.
When we're talking about Forces.
Sounds good.
Okie dokie. Oh, and of course, yours truly, fattoler. So, let's start off with Sonic Mania, and we got a couple of pieces of news here, in fact, some big news in some ways. First of all, I was completely wrong, and Dr. Eggman is in this game. So, yeah, no surprises there, I guess. And second of all, we've seen Chemical Plant Act 2, which is looking quite interesting, to say the least. So, first impressions, shall we say? Let's start off with Green Hill, the boss.
The Green Hill Act 2 boss. I don't know, something about the way it looks actually really bugs me with the sprite art, and I'm not sure
the
why.
Eyes.
Is it because he's got an giant extending pingus in the in most of the thumbnails of the videos we see of it?
I wouldn't even necessarily say that. It's like I recognize the technique that's kind of going on with the way they're animating the robot. I've seen it in several other games where, for games with something like a robot or something, they'll just create the individual limbs as individual sprites and then just move them together for the animation. Well, something about it just looks really, really strange with how it's being used here, though.
I think that's intentional because, now correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like the original Death Egg robot had that kind of uncanny valley way of moving. Yeah. And so I feel like they're doing it intentionally to kind of, show like this is the same kind of robot.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing with, what's that, Vector Man, isn't it? That sort of weird, every single thing's a sprite sort of thing, I don't know.
Well, I think it could be a combination of reasons, because obviously they want the arms to be attacking you, and it would be a bit of a pain to edit the entire sprite if they wanted to change an attack animation or something.
Yeah, they hone in on you.
It's just easier for them to have the arms be a different sprite.
Yeah, personally I think it's really cool. I mean, just, first of all, that we're having a boss in Green Hill Zone, which is like the final boss. So, it's that thing everybody said in every single sort of, why doesn't the bad guy just why doesn't Dr. Wily build a whole fortress made out of spike walls or something like that? Here, Dr. Eggman's kicking right off.
What? Yeah, I really like that whole idea of just like, this is the next game, but he still has that robot, so...
why not
jumping right into it?
Yeah, exactly. The other sort of, just thinking about other points of interest. Obviously, obviously you've got what do you call it? Rings for this boss, which means it'll be a lot easier, unlike in the actual Sonic 2 game thing. But also, it's interesting because it's one of those bosses where the screen is constantly moving.
Yeah, it's very interesting how many.
That's actually been a recurring thing so far, I think, out of the Act 2 bosses that we've seen in the game.
Oh yeah, because you see the helicopter.
Yeah, with the hard-boiled heavy on the helicopter. In Studiopolis, And I want to say those are the only 2 Act 2 bosses we've seen so far, but it looks like that's going to be a very recurring trend so far with how the Act 2 bosses are handled.
So,
because out of what we've seen of the Act 1s, it seems that they're in stationary environments, kind of like what we're normally used to out of Sonic bosses.
So basically, they've inverted the Sonic Advance 2 boss scheme.
I was going to say, one thing I kind of admire about the Sonic, this version of the Egg Robo, is that it kind of goes to this thing that, where it kind of, this is something I always thought about, like, the Egg Robo in Sonic 2, is that it's all about context. Like, alone, the Egg Robo is actually not very hard. It's probably not even the hardest boss in that game. It's just that you have no rings, and, you know, you're at a flat level. But it's like when you're on a sloping level with rings, it's really easy to defeat, even though he is effectively doing the exact same thing.
Well, it is this awesome game, so they don't want it to be cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's that's an interesting point about balance, though. When you think about game design in general, is that a lot of a boss's difficulty doesn't necessarily come from the actual boss itself, but the environment in which it's placed in. So that's actually quite an interesting sort of.
Yeah, like as soon as you take that robot out of the context of the Death Egg, it's actually kind of a pushover.
Well, I don't know. It does look pretty tough here. I mean, it chucks out little Eggerman bombs, which I don't know. Is that egotistical or sort of a weird act of self-hatred, like a desperate cry for help?
That's an attack in the original.
Yeah. Is it? If you get behind the robot, he throws out a bunch of unavoidable bombs that kill you instantly.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly, I can't. It's been a while since.
That's because most people don't really get behind them very often. It's like one of those things that just kind of happens if you're not really paying attention to where he's landing. But yeah, that's why if I'm fighting against him, I try to get him into a corner so that doesn't happen accidentally.
Also,
I quite
sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, I quite like how in the first original trilogy of Sonic, all the first bosses were quite unintimidating. So the first one had a wrecking ball, the other one you could just jump over. It's just a car. And 3 had
with a big drill.
Some flying thing that you just jump into. He just shoots at like the same 2 angles. It's not hard.
But the third one is the only one that was actually a little bit menacing.
Yeah, this one, he's just like, I love how in this one, it's not just a simple, you just jump on me a few times, I'm dead sort of thing. It's just like, yeah, I'm just going to send in like my best robot I had.
This is the first time Eggman planned. He was like, no, I know you were coming this time.
Yes, also, master planner indeed. Also, just one final. Sorry,
the music.
Oh yeah, well, Green Hill. It's Green Hill Zone. It's
the boss theme.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I haven't heard it.
I'm just gonna get.
It's incredible.
Something like it.
It's incredible.
I'm trying to stay away from some Mania stuff as well. You have a few surprises.
Oh well, I mean, I'm just going to give it a little listen to right now. It sounds jolly good. But what I was about to say was one final thing is the little flying capsule, which is a nice little touch.
Yeah, that was from 3K.
Well, sorry. Again, it's such a while since I played these games. I
think that's just a little throwback to that.
Yeah. Because a lot of the 3 and K, a lot of the Act 2s rather in 3 and K had flying capsules.
Oh yeah. Well,
they like flew down.
Did a lot of them have that? I only remember like 1 or 2 that had those.
I think it was just the first act that had it.
The first one, and then the one where you're flying with tails.
Yeah, in Marble Garden.
Yeah. Those are the only 2 I could remember that actually did that. But it's kind of interesting because I've mentioned many times that Sonic 3 and Knuckles was my first Sonic game. And so I never really think of that as like, oh yeah, that's the first time we saw that. Just like how signposts falling down instead of being something you run past. It was never really something I thought of like, oh yeah, that was novel. I always just think of like, yeah, signs fall from the sky.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Well, that's the Green Hill news. The other bit of news we have regarding Sonic Mania is Chemical Plant Act 2, in which we see a whole bunch of level gimmicks which involve chemicals, fittingly enough. And
syringes that you share.
Wow.
Okay. But seriously,
Sonic encourages needles.
Well, actually, you don't actually see a needle, do you?
Sonic says, kids don't do drugs, but if you do, make sure it's 2-player.
Right. So we have, well, you know, you can
the gel, the chemicals.
You can inject a gel into like a chemical residue or some sort of thing, and turns it a different color, and it makes it harder, or rather bouncier, like flubber or something like that. I don't know. Yeah. It's
one thing I was very, very happy about is I'm kind of sad about this game having a lot of throwback levels. You know, but at the same time, I really, really adore that they're doing something novel with the concept rather than just, here it is, here's Chemical Plant. It's They're actually taking the idea of a chemical plant and getting as much interest out of it. So it almost doesn't even feel like they were redoing a stage. It feels unique.
It doesn't feel like Chemical Plant. I think that's a good thing.
Exactly. That's
it really feels like they're trying to do something unique even with their rehashed stages.
What do you think the boss will be for Chemical Plant Act 2? Do you think it'll be a hard-boiled heavy?
Yeah, they'll surprise us.
They pick up, they pick up like buckets of chemical and drop it on you.
We know that we know that the game is supposed to be about approximately as long as Generations, and we know there's going to be 7 hard-boiled heavies. So I'm inferring just off that we're only going to have Eggman for like maybe 2 or 3 zones at most, and every other zone is going to be a hard-boiled heavy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd also like to point out that in the music there's a flat line.
Sorry.
I wonder what that means. I would also like to.
I didn't quite hear you there, Simple.
I would also like to point out that in the music for Chemical Plant Zone Act 2 there is a heart rate monitor sound. So, I wonder what that means.
Actually, I want to point out something interesting as well. I noticed that in all the original stages like Studiopolis and Mirage Saloon, you see the hard-boiled heavies in some way, whereas the Act 2 boss of Green Hill Zone is Eggman himself. So does that mean that the hard-boiled heavies are going to be appearing in original stages, and Eggman's going to be appearing in,
classic
the
stages?
That makes sense.
That makes sense. And it actually would be quite an interesting idea, I guess. I mean, maybe that relates to the plot. It's maybe it's another time travel plot or something. I don't know.
Also, I don't want to keep like going around in circles, but since we started talking about it, I started listening to Green Hill Zone, and I never really paid attention to how amazing this mix of this song is actually. Like, I was just thinking, like, that's just Green Hill Zone, I don't need to listen to this, but like, watching gameplay and listening to this song, it's actually amazing. Oh my god.
Also, multi-directional tubes in the Chemical Plant Zone, which
I love that.
Yeah, that's
so
quite
much
fun.
Yeah, like I said, like they just took the idea of a chemical plant and they said, all right, but we're not going to just make this chemical plant again. We're going to take everything chemical plant did and improve on it. And that's one of the reasons why I'm not as mad as I thought I was going to be that they're bringing back chemical plant of all stages.
Well, Chemical Plant's a great stage, and it's really, this looks great.
Chemical Plant's a great stage, but in all honesty, it's not my favorite Sonic 2 stage. Like, that's my problem with Chemical Plant again. It's not like, oh, I hate Chemical Plant. It's more like, why Chemical Plant?
Steals the spotlight, even.
Speaking of music, there was a bit of news in terms of it, because T-Lopes announced that Falk, the composer of the Sonic after the sequel composer, is mixing the music for the game.
Oh,
neat. Beautiful.
I did not hear about this.
He put it up on his Twitter.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
The music in this game is just fantastic. I don't want to downplay that.
It's going to be great. Going to be great.
Going to be huge. But what else?
It's going to be way past cool.
Indeed. What else is there to say about Mania? I mean, I'm trying to think. Someone inferred that the levels in the Act 2, well, or rather, the levels for each character will be different, or at least a little different. I haven't seen anything to confirm that.
Yeah,
that would be
like someone showed gameplay of Knuckles and Tails, but I didn't really see much of a difference between them.
Well, maybe it's a subtle difference, or maybe it's simply because they can access parts of the level which we can't see, or rather you can't get to a Sonic. So maybe that's all it is.
Well, I actually, if they did do that, I do kind of like it, because in Sonic 3 and Knuckles, Knuckles can't jump as high as Sonic, and I've noticed that they've retained that in this game as well. Based on gameplay, Knuckles can't jump as high as Sonic, and so I'm wondering if there are like alternate paths that Knuckles only can take and Knuckles has to take because he can't jump high enough to get to a certain,
Yeah, that'd be quite interesting.
If they do the whole split paths of Sonic 3 and Knuckles, because that was one of my favorite elements of that game, is that it's like, oh, play through as Sonic and Tails, and then you can play through as Knuckles, and you're like, oh, it's just the same game with different characters. And it's like, no, it actually changes significantly. I was going to say one other thing I wanted to mention about the first boss that I forgot to. Is one thing I noticed is that Eggman has, it has like, instead of just the hands shooting off like they do in Sonic 2, they're kind of connected like they were in Generations. And I wonder if that's just a way to make it easier, or if that's actually like a reference to how it worked in Generations. I like that the different syringes in Chemical Plant, have different levels of like effect. There's just a lot of interesting little things with how the stages are built together.
Yes, and I think Garaco or Blazy or Panzer, I think it was someone mentioned that it's interesting how there are a lot of button gimmicks, you said?
A lot of button gimmicks? Yes, that was me.
Yes. I mean, just sort of, could you elaborate a bit on that?
Well, I noticed in Mirage Saloon Zone, there's a lot of gimmicks involved in having to press down on the water guns in order to create paths. There's something quite similar present in Chemical Plant, where you need to stand still and press buttons to create gel.
Well, I wouldn't say press buttons, you stand on them, really, but same principle.
Yeah, it seems like they're incorporating a lot of these gimmicks to maybe slow the pace of the game down a bit. Right. Try and make you think more.
It's platforming in a good way, because it's not just time your jumps, it's also like, here's a novel way to get from A to B. And I love that. Like, it's not just, hey, try to jump on this platform with good timing. It's like, fire your gun in the right direction, or stick to this pad and then bounce off of the correct chemical so you can get to the better route.
And also, it turns out Simple's having a technical issue, so apologies about that.
Yes, I just missed a little bit of the conversation, so it's not a big deal.
We were just discussing how the levels in Mania have certain button gimmicks.
Yeah.
And in terms of level gimmicks, I appreciate that there's a ton going on in each level in the game. Like, each level introduces at least like 3 new gimmicks.
Yeah. And like I said, when they're revamping old stages, they're not just like, here's the stage again. Like, I'm watching footage of Chemical Plant now, and it just blows me away how unique this is. Like, it doesn't even feel like this is, Chemical Plant again. This just feels like a different stage that's just using similar assets.
It's chemical. It's chemical.
So help me if Gimmick Mountain doesn't come back from Sonic 2 Game Gear.
Yeah. I really do hope that if they get to make a Mania 2, they get to, make more of their, like, own kind of,
interpretations of classic levels, yeah.
Well, not even just classic levels, but, like, this just kind of proves to me that they have a lot of interesting, unique ideas, so I kind of want to see their own take on some stuff as well.
I don't think there's going to be any doubt that there's going to be a Mania 2. This game's going to be
This is Sonic Team we're talking about. There's a lot of stuff I thought should have been obvious to make, and they didn't.
This game is going to be too successful to pass up a sequel.
Well, we'll have to, actually, I was going to say at the end of it, we'll talk about sales figures. Anyway.
Just a quick question, though.
Yes?
Do you think we're going to be seeing... You know how Mirage Saloon is kind of based off one of the cut stages from Sonic 2?
What is it?
Do you think we're going to be getting any of those?
Sorry,
do you think we're going to be getting any more cut stages?
I really hope we get a Genocide City stage.
We did. It's Metropolis Zone.
Or we get something like...
I'm wondering if we're going to get a Final Fever in this game. The cut final boss of the Sonic CD remake.
Maybe.
If there's no laughing, I'm going to rage.
Okay, right. I think we shall now get Rick back in here and start talking about Sonic Forces. If that's all right.
Boy.
Rick, do you want to say hello?
No.
Okay, that's fine.
Well, guys, I can't believe Shadow the Hedgehog was the boss of Green Hill Zone.
Yeah. I have to say, I did like the sprite work on Shadow for Green Hill Zone because it's just... I mean, I've seen lots of fan sprite shadows in my time, but this one, you know, it's just simple and clear at the same time. Just like
What are you talking about? They just ripped the model from SA2.
Wait, are we talking about fake Mania spoilers or the Forces trailer now?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
fake.
Fake, yeah, well, anyway. Right, so, Sonic Mania, I mean, where to start? Like,
You mean Sonic Forces?
Like Forces.
Yes, of course. Right, Sonic Forces. Where to
I suppose
start?
we should start with the trailer.
The official trailer from E3? Yeah, I think we shall. I mean, obviously, it's just your classic E3 trailer. Shows everything we already know about, and then a couple of new things at the end.
Yeah, I was a little bit disappointed that the trailer literally showed the gameplay that they showed at E3. I was kind of like, oh, it's not even like different gameplay. It looked exactly the same.
Well, that's how they go. But the big surprise from this trailer is obviously the fact that Shadow's in the game, and he's a bad guy again, or maybe. I think we are going to. Sorry.
I was just making a dramatic noise.
Oh.
Dun dun dun.
Sorry, honestly, you just sound like you were going, like you're just.
I was doing a really bad impression of the Gutsman's ass reveal.
Oh, that's it. You just say, "Da-na." You know, to give it force, man. But yes, as I was saying, I think obviously we see Shadow and Metal Sonic and Zavok for some reason and Chaos. And
For even more what reasons?
Where's the car?
She's
Like
dead.
it just,
She's
So is
not
Chaos.
villain. Chaos isn't dead. He's clearly living right here.
They went to Chaos Heaven, but Chaos is back. What?
But yes, we see Chaos, we see Zavok, we see Metal Sonic, and then we see the new villain of the week, which is, I think, Infinite. Yes.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, Infinite looks like a cross between Shadow the Hedgehog and Nephiles. And
it looks very Mephiles-esque, yeah.
Yeah.
I get a Shade vibe as well.
It also looks a bit like your typical DeviantArt OC, but I guess, honestly, that's pretty much just a given at this point. I mean, it's pretty much impossible for Sonic Team to create a new character without it looking like somebody's DA character. I have to say, they really do have to tread carefully with this.
Calling it now that at the end of this game, that final Infinite villain takes his mask off to reveal your OC.
I 100% think that's going to happen. It just feels like
it's Cold Steel. It's going to be Cold Steel.
So that's why your OC can't change how their hair looks, because they wouldn't be able to model Infinite doing that. It'd be too obvious.
I love how Sonic Team is taking cues from the Minecraft generation with the blocks at the end.
but
He's the OG Enderman.
If Infinite is you, if you choose to be a girl character or a girl avatar, would that mean Nephiles would become a girl?
New waifu.
Yes, indeed.
And then it would become even Cole.
Infinite doesn't seem to be gendered any specific way.
Infinite is infinite genders.
That's what you say.
Oh god.
But just going to call it now. I think you're going to beat Shadow and you're going to turn him onto your side. Whether or not that's going to happen for the rest of the villains, I do not know. Maybe
I feel like in an interview, they implied that Shadow does have a good reason for defecting. Whatever.
Oh,
like it's going to be explained through the.
Let me guess. Did Eggman tell him that Sonic killed Maria?
He ate my swirl.
I have this video footage of Sonic killing Maria. Hi, I'm Sonic the Hedgehog. Way past cool. Oh, hello, Sonic. I'm gonna kill you now. Zap, zap, extreme.
It's just a man in a costume. It's Eggman wearing like a Sonic suit, and Shadow's like that jerk.
No, it's a hand puppet. It's a hand puppet.
Didn't Robotnik have access to a time machine in Generations, though? So, like, Shadow could just go back and change it?
Mm-hmm. One thing I find the strangest is why is Chaos evil?
What?
Because
Chaos.
Yeah, his name is Chaos. It's not Order.
Well, does that necessarily imply that Order is good? Ooh, I don't know. But no, seriously, I mean, I think, I don't know. Are they going to write it in a nuanced or clever way? Probably not. Are they just going to be bad guys for the sake of being bad guys? Probably. So
yes.
I don't expect too much out of this reason.
And I know I'm in the minority here, but I was actually kind of really hoping Zavok would come back because I actually kind of like him.
Yeah, I think Zavok's pretty cool as a villain. I think the Zeti.
He's one of the few Zeti I actually really liked.
Well, I think it's the same problem with Silver the Hedgehog and who else is in that game? I think it was just Silver, yeah.
Silver was the only one that was new. Blaze tends to get lumped in that game because it was her 3D debut.
Yeah, that's true.
I was gonna say, like, I just feel like the first game that the Zeti were in was just a really poor game, and so they're associated with just being bad.
What are you talking about? The Zeti are new?
Well, no, we were saying that the Zeti. We were saying that same thing with Silver. I was about to say Shilver. Silver was in a bad game, and so people tend to rag on him for
that's what it's called when Silver's trying to sell his stuff. It's Shilver.
Yes. Shilver's silver. He'll shill his own silver.
Subscribe to my Patreon. Shut up, Shilver.
Something that's been pointed out is that most of these villains at some point or another have all of them at some point have betrayed Eggman. So I'm wondering if all of them will at least become neutral by the end of the story.
Shadow, he's going to become neutral.
It may go back to, like, didn't they mention back at the, I forget if I'm misremembering this, but wasn't it said back at one of the panels about this game that there were actually 3 factions to this?
I do not remember anything about
that. I don't recall. They keep saying forces of good and evil.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's just going to be goodies and baddies here. I don't think we're going to see, like, a third way.
The neutral.
No.
I don't know about you, man. I want to see complex moral dilemmas in my Sonic games.
Okay,
this isn't the Archie comics.
The non-aligned... yes, Yugoslavia will need the non-aligned Sonic World Pact or whatever. I don't know.
I got this.
Just like Sonic's like, we have to stop Eggman, and Eggman's like, we have to kill that hedgehog. And then there's just a third group like, I don't feel strongly either way.
Guys, I got
it. It's the Metalix Brotherhood.
Yes.
It's the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the ugly is going to be Tails is coming back with all his new friends.
Or maybe
Tails is like, you forgot about me.
Who's Eggman's going to get betrayed?
We haven't seen Tails, like, actually appear as a 3D model in this game. We've seen them talking, and we'll get onto that in a moment. But just before we move on to the some of the gameplay footage, Yoto mentioned this earlier. It's really nice to see Chaos in a HD render.
It's so satisfying because Chaos has actually a really cool design that I feel like is always hindered by the they made Chaos for the sole purpose of kind of showing off how good they could make water look. But now that we're in a generation where we can make water look really, really good, I'm really glad that we get to see what Chaos looks like.
Yeah, but why is he back?
Because it's a nostalgia trip, and Eggman's gone back in time and collected a bunch of villains. It's not that hard to grasp. I don't know, mate. I mean, why does Batman keep fighting the Joker and the Penguin?
I bet the question is, why did your OC get hold of Majora's Mask and become the new villain?
Like, you're like, why is Chaos back? We're in a series where Shadow came back for no reason.
Yeah, why is Metal Sonic back? Why is Zavok
back?
I'm just a bit annoyed at them reusing villains like this.
Yeah, but they got a new villain. He's called Infinite. It's a cool guy. I'm going to buy all the merchandise and draw all the fan art of him.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a case of you either use your established cast, or you come up with even more one-off characters that are never going to be seen again and just get thrown in the pile. I would honestly rather see the core cast get reused rather than end up with more characters that have potential and then never get seen again, like Captain Whiskers and Johnny.
I don't
know. Who's Johnny? I forget.
Captain Whiskers' right-hand man.
Oh, yeah. I know Captain Whiskers.
Dude.
Wasn't Captain Whiskers just Eggman?
No, it was a robot. It doesn't matter.
So it was a robot.
He was essentially Eggman, though.
Yeah. He was the Eggman for the game.
Yeah, like Eggman Nega's essentially Eggman.
No, he's not. He's the Eggman from the future, or his descendant, or from another dimension, or we don't know.
Get your straight, Sega.
Okay. But yeah,
I don't mind.
Sorry?
I was going to say, I don't mind the villains being back, so long as they've actually thought of a clever way of explaining why they're doing this.
See, I feel like Metal Sonic and Zavok, you don't need to explain. They're just like, no, I hate Sonic.
Doesn't it make sense that it's Eggman's birthday party and he's having all his friends round?
I really want that to be the plot now.
You know what would be great, and I know it's not going to happen, but if Eggman had a grounder and a clucker, just as sort of, just as helpers, just in the background, and
Orbot and Cubot.
I see what you're doing there.
I know Orbot and Cubot are there, but it would just be so much. It would just be a really nice, sweet little touch.
You can have 4.
Yeah, you can
four
have
assistants.
But I mean, you have the grounder and the clucker as classic Eggmans, Orbot and Cubot, or something like that.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he's going to be here.
Yeah, he'll show up in Mania, but Forces will get Dingo.
Yeah, will we see classic Eggman? Because we haven't seen him so far.
Yeah, we assumed that because Classic Sonic's here that, Classic Eggman was going to appear, but we actually have not seen a Classic Eggman.
I swear they confirmed that Classic Sonic's going to be the only classic character showing up. But
yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, Aaron confirmed there's no Classic Tails.
And that's dumb.
Another year, no Mike.
It kind of makes me sad, because my one complaint about Generations is that I wish we got to see, an HD Classic Knuckles, Classic Amy.
Yeah.
Classic Shadow Wen.
Well, we'll see. But, yeah. So I'm just going to make a quick guess at the plot. Eggman gets out of the time dimension, whatever.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
$50 says it's never mentioned at all.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't want to interrupt you, but I thought of that, but then I realized that Lost World has happened since that game. So,
yeah.
You get what I'm saying? If this came right after Generations, that makes sense, but Lost World came after this, and Zavok's in here, so are we now assuming that...
That's a good point. Well, in that case, maybe it's just a simple case of Eggman found Infinite somehow, and it's like, oh, hey, you can manipulate time and space. Do you want to help me gather all my old villain friends back together and kill Sonic, or something like that? Or maybe...
they said it badly for you last time.
The ones that betrayed me.
I feel like
Infinite
we're gonna
just what's it called sent Sonic away into another dimension. We don't know. We'll see. I mean, I'm actually kind of intrigued as to what this game's plot will be, because moving on to our sort of the various gameplay trailers, we see that obviously we've seen what we've mostly seen before, but we get to see some of the character interactions, which they do look like they're going to be cheerleaders. I don't know if we'll see some 3D models. I hope we do see some cutscenes where they're all sort of hanging around and chatting.
Yeah, definitely. Because I already know we're not going to see them be able to play as them, but it'd at least be nice to see cutscenes with these characters.
I will say this. While I did say that Sonic Team appear to not be learning, I'm going to just take that back some way and say that they are at least getting some message. People say we want to see these classic characters, we want to see some more boost gameplay, and people, and I guess they're making some attempt at that, which I can appreciate.
I was gonna say, I do sort of hope though that all your friends messaging you is a feature that you can turn off, kind of like Omochao, because I can see how that could get really annoying.
This is an issue I have with the characters speaking. First of all, since when has Sonic characters been talking over the level ever been well received?
That's a fair
Generations with the time here.
Second of all, it's just them shouting exposition, and that's really annoying.
It doesn't even have anything to do with the level. At the very least, you could argue that what they were saying in Sonic Heroes was relevant to what's going on.
I hope they get self-aware with it.
I don't see that as a problem. In fact, if anything, I see that as something of a benefit in some way, because when you're having people talking about levels that's a jump rope, or that's a ding dong, do this, do that. Here, they're actually, I don't know. That's my go-to word for when I can't.
I just wish there was more. I just wish there was more character and banter put in there, because it just seems like it's only exposition.
I hope it gets really self-aware. So, like, the third time you die, they're like, "Hey, maybe let somebody else try this and go home."
See, we actually do see a little bit of that banter in the gameplay with classic Sonic fighting Egg Dragoon. You get a bit of that banter between Tails and Eggman.
Yeah, and
hopefully we see more of that in the rest of the game.
Also in the Park Avenue stage of modern Sonic, you see Knuckles saying, "Oh wow, Knuckles and Vector can we handle that?" That's quite a lot of Death Egg robots to take on. So
all these Eggman's robots.
Oh no!
I really hope it gets to the Star Fox 64 levels of cheesy dialogue, and we get stuff like Sonic's own version of Do a Barrel Roll.
Yeah.
Only I have the brains to roll Lilat.
Star Fox 64, best scripted game ever.
Yeah.
Only I
really
have
want-
the brains to
I love
rule
Star-
Sonic's world.
If we're going Star Fox route, I really hope that Tails is the Flippy of the crew.
I failed you.
That's tolerable.
Yeah.
Sonic, help! They're on my tail.
They're on
They're
my
on
tails.
both of your tails.
I got enemies. I got enemies on my tails. You can break all that stuff, God.
Speaking of which, does Infinite have a tail or tails? Because it looks like it in the shop, but you don't see much of.
Sorry.
It's gonna be a cube.
Yeah, you can see them. I'm fairly certain.
So it's Tails then in a mask. Tails finds Majora's Mask. Good game.
When they, it turns out when they turned him into a robot in Sonic Lost World, it just had a delayed effect.
That would be quite a twist.
And all the talk of Infinite does remind me, we do have the box art for Sonic Forces now.
Oh yes.
With Blue Buddy.
So
with Blue Buddy for some reason, and also coincidentally Blue Infinite at the same time.
Could someone just post that for me so I can just
pulling it up right now?
Cheers. What was I about to say? So let's talk about the classic stage, or the classic gameplay we saw, which was basically just a boss level with good old Dr. Eggman, and he's brought out the Egg Dragoon. So that seems to be sort of a running theme between...
Well, I was going to say, he kind of buried the lead a bit, that he kind of starts off in his little hovermobile,
with the little chainsaw buzzsaw thing. Instead
of a wrecking ball, he has a little buzzsaw thing.
Which is a little bit more menacing, I will say. And then, of course, after a few hits, he drives away and gets out the big old Egg Dragoon. Or the egg... It is the Egg Dragoon.
Yeah. It's worth noting that in this game he seems to have a life bar.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of where they put it, because it's directly over his model.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a fair
Not
point.
put
Maybe
it
they'll
like
fix
that.
that in the...
Build with a lot of Forces' UI design choices in general.
Yeah.
Well, I mean...
I thought it was a little bit odd, because it's Sonic, and I'm like, I don't ever feel like I've been playing Sonic and been like, I need to know how many hits this guy takes.
Hang on a second, there are health bars in your favourite game ever, Sonic Heroes.
Yeah, I know. That's not one of my favorite things about it.
Just going back to the cover art, it's a pretty good little piece. Although Knuckles is in there as well, which is kind of disingenuous. Oh, and Tails is there as well.
That's why I'm wondering if Tails and Knuckles will play a part in the story.
Well, I hope they won't. Well, I hope they do, and I just I was about to say
Metal Sonic is also on the cover.
Yeah, well,
he gets top billing.
Exactly.
Oh
that's
boy,
what we're saying
Sonic,
about
classic
Legacy.
Sonic and Fox Sonic.
But what I was about to say, it would be nice if Knuckles and Tails were playable as unlockable characters, even if it was just the same sort of gameplay as Sonic.
Even if they're just skins.
Yeah, it would be a nice touch, I'd say.
DLC $5.
Sorry.
So DLC $5.
I wouldn't even mind.
Sugar.
I would.
Well, actually, yeah, I would, to be honest.
I was gonna say, you know what? Want to know why I wouldn't want that? Because I know that people really want to play as Tails and Knuckles, so they would buy it, and then Sega would just be like, "Oh, we could just always do this."
Oh my God. I'm not gonna.
They would.
It end up being like I have to pay for DLC to play as Best Girl. I'm not accepting that shit.
Okay. Also, just
Tails
a
is
note
Best Girl.
about
You have a waifu builder, though.
Yeah, you can play as a purple cat in this game, Blazy. Sorry, I was about to say...
Not the same!
May I just say, Infinite's ears, I mean, just looking at that design, I don't know, I'm just intrigued by it, because it's two black circles, and...
Looks like we can find Cartoon Network in there.
Bat-like.
Yeah, it's
Actually, kind of bat-like.
He's powered by dubstep.
Yeah, it's like it's got speakers or something. I don't know. It's just an interesting little point of.
I really hope Infinite's a mouse, and then I'll just start calling him Dead Mouse.
Just the general artificial-looking nature of Infinite.
Yeah,
that was the thing. I was wondering if
is
Infinite
Infinite
was organic or robot. Yeah.
Maybe he's a cyborg. Maybe he's like some sort of trans-dimensional Lovecraftian being. That'd be really cool, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say what I think is really interesting is that we've seen classic and, your avatar on the Green Hill stage, but not modern Sonic.
I wonder if that goes back to some of the early leaks about Forces that talked about you having to save modern before you actually get to play as him.
Well, actually, that would be interesting. Also, the chemical plant is mentioned in the Avatar stage in Green Hill, which is just an interesting little point of reference.
I don't think they mean chemical plant. I think they just mean like Eggman built a chemical plant.
It's. Go on ahead.
They say the chemical plant, and I mean that sort of infers. Well, we've only seen one chemical plant really in this series, so that would suggest. I would be surprised if it was a new chemical plant, but good.
Once again, I'm kind of getting sick of chemical plant.
Chemical plant is capitalized, so maybe, it could be it.
Normally I would just say, it's just referring to a generic chemical plant. If it wasn't for the fact that we actually see the color faded out in various segments of Avatar Green Hill, like we do in the white space from Generations, implying that this is one in the same area. And of course, Green Hill goes right into chemical plant.
No, it doesn't.
So in that regard, that makes sense.
In the game, it's sort of, it's the second stage.
I'm thinking those areas are just white because of the industrialization. Because if you look closely,
exactly,
the trees,
because of the chemical plant.
If you look closely, the trees are dead.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't think it's like white space, like, this time doesn't exist. I think it's just deterioration.
Also,
sorry for saying no, it doesn't. I was confusing it. I thought you meant like canonically, like Sonic 2, but you're right, it does in Generations.
Yeah, you're right, though. I mean, I've only just noticed that. The plants have wilted and the grass is all yellowed. Yeah, that's kind of a neat touch, actually. Anyway,
everything's dead. Eggman wins. Bad future.
It's another thing that I wonder about this iteration of Green Hill Zone, that if, you see the sand everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if this is either Eggman sucking out all the water or a different area of Green Hill Zone, because I noticed in the background there are a lot of interesting looking pyramid structures, and
some of which are robotic, some of which aren't.
Yeah.
Well, as I was about to say, we have a giant enemy crab as the boss of this, and it's one of those, runaway
boss?
maybe a stage hazard.
Yeah,
it's just the truck. It's just the
That thing
truck.
looks awesome.
It does look cool, and I love the fact that you actually do the 80-80 rope trip up thing. That's I mean, even if it's not like that nuanced, it's still neat that you can actually do it as your finishing.
It's just a large automated sequence.
Yeah, but hey,
it's called a QuickTime event. Welcome to the 21st century.
And I don't like games that do that. So here we are.
Bad.
Yeah, but you did a whole bunch of other QuickTime events at the start of this in order to get the. I mean, aren't all boss fights QuickTime events really? Because you're just learning patterns and pressing the buttons at the right time in some way.
No, because there's a very clear difference between recognizing a boss pattern and reacting accordingly within the mechanics of the game and turning it into a literal Simon Says.
Well, what about when you have to do a jump and you have to press certain buttons in order so that you can get the best jump? That's QuickTime.
No. QuickTime's just a program Apple uses to play videos with.
I still have videos buffering in QuickTime, I think, from 1996.
I started them, and then they just never played. I'm still waiting.
I don't know.
But what I was about to say, I don't think it's that bad. I mean, the fact
I never had that big of a hatred of QTE. It can be overabused, but if you use it seldomly, I'm fine with it, especially if it's just for something stupid like an end of the stage hazard.
Yeah.
Well, this is an issue I have with the grappling hook thing in general, because it seems to be a very large part of the custom character's gameplay, right?
Yeah,
but it doesn't seem to be actually used very well.
Well, they use it to swing on things. I mean, I think it's fine as it is.
But everywhere you use it, it just seems to be very scripted and automated, and I don't like that. Especially since, a mechanic like a grappling hook has a ton of potential.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Especially, okay. Sorry, go on.
I doubt it's going to be like Bionic Commander or something where you're.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Too. That Bionic Commando with Sonic physics would be the best thing ever. Yeah. But then that implies that modern Sonic team knows how to do physics.
Yeah, it could easily lend itself well to a momentum-based gameplay. It could be like Attack on Titan or Spider-Man or whatever. But no,
Attack on Spiders.
Whatever.
Or Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah. I will say, I kind of get that complaint, because one of the things that I will give, I do kind of have a bad habit of trash-talking the adventure games, just because I feel like people give them a bit too much credit. One thing I will say that I adore is that they kept the fact that Knuckles can climb on basically everything. And that's not a QTE. There's not, a set you can only climb here. It's no, you climb everywhere. Literally everything is something you can climb. And I feel like that is something that, games are getting away from when it comes to,
exploration.
Freedom. Yeah. You can do this here and only here. And it's why? Why can I only use this here? Can't I do this anywhere? Don't I have free will?
Well, I mean, there are sometimes good reasons why you can't climb in some areas. And anyway, something I was about to say, gosh, I completely lost my train of thought there.
General buddy gameplay?
General what?
Buddy
gameplay. I mean, the gameplay is. There's not much really to say about the gameplay other than it's what. There's not much else to say about the gameplay other than.
We get a better idea for how Buddy's gameplay flows compared to, say, the short 40 seconds that we got earlier.
I know that they're trying to sell that
that
your avatar character is not cool like Sonic and Friends.
Are they?
And a lot of the characters call them rookie or something, they're starting
that you're new to it all.
Which again kind of gets me a little bit weird, because I get the idea that it's kind of militarized, but it kind of also creates this implication that Sonic and Friends are an organization. I'm I never got that idea from them. I just always felt like they're just a group of friends that just happened to stop Eggman when he showed up.
Well, I think in this case, for this game, obviously, Eggman's taking another world, so there's the Resistance fighting against him, and therefore Sonic would obviously be part of that Resistance. So I don't think it's like Sonic's Commander-in-Chief of the Sonic Resistance or anything. I think it's more like
Sonic Military.
The Sonic Military, the Sonic Armed Forces, the Sonic Military Academy, which I came top of the class in. But
at the same time, what are you gonna be called? They can't say, "Hey, you," or "Hey, new guy," right? There's only so many things they can use as a neutral term to talk about the new character. So rookie kind of makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Also, interesting point. We see a non-Sonic friend in that. We see a soldier in the Green Hill thing, which he looks completely and utterly generic, but yeah, fair enough. I will say this again, and I think I want to reiterate and better explain what I said last time I talked about this. I think this is Sonic Team's attempt at tapping into the Call of Duty market, and what I mean by that is that they perceive they perceive war games or war-themed games as being very popular in the West, which is perfectly true. I mean, you got Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty and all that stuff out, and so I guess they're trying to tap a little bit into that by making it a bit more dark and edgy. I don't know, just an interesting point of view. Or
I don't know. They've always seen grittier stuff as being more appealing to older kids and Americans.
Yeah, I just feel that's sort of what they're trying to aim for here. Maybe I'm just overthinking it.
Also,
regarding the soldier,
I was going to just bring up really fast. I actually did find video of Buddy in Park Avenue and it looks like it actually is very largely the same level as what Sonic was playing through.
Yeah, but it's in 2D.
Right.
Regarding the
Sonic
Soul,
has 2D as well.
Yeah, I don't. Will Modern Sonic have 2D in this game? Or
Yeah,
it
he
just be
does.
Yes, he has.
We've seen it.
Oh yeah, sorry, sorry, I was stuff
Whoopsie.
again. No, it's
I was just going to bring up that that in some regards it's actually somewhat 3 and Knuckles-esque in that it's, aside from stuff like the grappling hook placement, the grappling hook spots being placed around the map now, for the most part it's very much the same level, but the two characters just have to take different routes through it because of the different options they have.
So we'll see like reused stages, or I won't say reused stages, but like in Sonic Adventure 2 or Sonic Adventure 1 even.
Yes.
Sonic Adventures, they, having reused stages, which I don't know, I wouldn't say it's a bad thing. It's just, I don't know. You'd rather get unique levels to everybody, but you can't have everything, I guess. I mean, looking at the dialogue there, we see Espio having a quick chat with the buddy, and also a mention of HQ. So again, that sort of military-ish theme running through the whole game.
And see that, like, I don't know. I've never really been a huge fan of that sort of organized kind of thing. I always like it when stuff is kept fast and loose.
I don't think Sonic's being like bossed around per se. I think he's
no, that's not what I'm saying. Like, and a lot of people love the comics and love stuff like the Freedom Fighters. That was never really my bag. I never really liked. Oh, let's go back to home base. It's like, that feels so un-Sonic.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah,
and
it's like
I
the
totally agree with you there.
HQ that everyone returns to. Like, there's a Hall of Justice.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be developed that much in the game itself,
And beyond that, I also think it is very much just a one-off thing because of the theming of the game itself.
No, I mean, I get that. I'm not saying it's going to be a constant. I'm just saying, like, just because I don't like it here doesn't mean I assume that it's going to happen forever. I'm just saying I'm not going to like it here just because I think, it's going to only happen once. I don't like that idea in general, and so I also don't like it here.
But I mean, I don't know. Is it really any different from, say, Sonic accepting a quest from somebody in Unleashed? Really, it's like, hey, Sonic, can you help us out fight Eggman? Sure. Can you do this?
Well, no, because that's just a guy just helping people out because he's a nice guy.
What if the HQ floats around the world?
What about the president or something saying, well, did the president ever? I don't think the president did ask Sonic to help him. Yeah, you're right. Actually, you're right. I mean, Sonic is a bit of an anti-establishment character in general, so I can see that. But then again, in desperate times like this, I can understand it. Yeah, but as you said,
it would be pretty funny if Sonic was bossed around by someone.
It's Amy.
Amy's the boss.
Amy's the final boss of the game.
She's Revolver Ocelot and Sonic.
I was gonna say, just imagining Amy just sitting in like a big chair with like a cigar in her mouth
and a shaved Sphinx, which doesn't make sense because the Sphinx is already shaved.
I have to shave it.
And she bosses Sonic around like a crabby police chief.
She's just got like one of those deep smoker voices. All right, Hedgehog, here's what we're gonna do.
I'm watching a Hedgehog. Always watching.
Wait, are you guys saying that Styx is the boss?
All right, Sonic. There's no way you're getting out of marrying me.
I don't care what you do, Sonic. Here we play by the book. You're a loose spin dash, Sonic. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. As I said, I am genuinely
Sonic.
intrigued.
We can't hold on much longer. We're on a one-way track.
Amy, I don't care what you think. I get results.
As I was
now, I was gonna say I hated this idea at first, but now it's my favorite thing. All right, I'm sorry. Continue.
It's all right. I mean, all I was going to say is I'm genuinely intrigued as to what this game's plot will be because I don't know. I mean, it seems, as I said, they are learning somewhat from their fan feedback. They want to make a more ambitious and weighty plot here, I guess. Maybe as I said, I have doubts it'll be that nuanced, but I don't know. maybe we'll see something on the level of the adventure games again.
I like how they're trying to make a more involved plot and use Sonic's secondary cast more, and even incorporating like lots of extras like the soldier you see. But I'm not expecting too much from this game's plot.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I think the issue with like listening to the fans is that of all the like series, I think Sonic has one of the most segmented fan bases. So even though you're quote unquote listening to the fans, I would say that 90% of the fan base doesn't want the same thing.
Well, I think
everybody else is wrong.
Yeah, that's a well-trodden subject, and I think we'll have to have our own separate PodFAST episode for that, just to discuss Sonic fans and fan bases.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, you know, and I already know that this is true. Most of the people in this very podcast don't even want the same thing out of Sonic as others.
Oh gosh, yes, we'll have to.
Ain't that the truth?
Indeed.
Like if we all got our ideal Sonic game, they'd all be very different games.
Indeed. I think
a whole other episode.
Sorry?
So that's a whole other episode.
Yeah, that's a whole episode. I was about to say, I think just to quickly wrap this up, in order to continue a little bit with our running theme for the build-up of Mania and Forces, so what do you expect this game to be rated as, and how well do you think it'll do? So let's start off with Mania. And
I'm willing to bet it's going to be an E game. Maybe E10?
No. Rated as in...
like critics.
Probably a 7 out of 10.
So Yoto, that's your... So that's from... Sorry, this is for Mania, I'm saying. So...
for Mania...
Actually, just do both at the same time, you know.
Yeah, Mania 8, Forces 7.
And how well do you think they'll sell?
I think Mania will do okay, but I think it'll be hindered by the fact that it's sort of a smaller game and that it's very nostalgia pandering. I feel like they haven't advertised enough how it's a new game. And the only reason I say that is because I was recently at an artist meetup that I go to every month, and one of the guys who was excited about Mania was talking about how Mania is basically a collection of all of Sonic's old stages. And I had to like explain to him like several times, like, no, it's like it's new, it's a new thing. It was like, oh, are you sure? It looks like it's just Green Hill Zone again. It's just taking all the old Sonic stages and making like a collection of them. I had to like explain to him, like, no, it's a own new game that just has the old stages in it. It's not like the Mega Man collection where you're just playing old Mega Man games.
All you've done is put a new hat on it.
Yeah, and after that interaction, it made me start realizing that that's probably what a lot of people who aren't really paying attention are going to think of this game, and that's making me a little bit worried for how it's going to sell, because there might be a lot of people who are like, oh, well, I've already played these games, so why would I buy this again?
Well, maybe they'll ramp it up in the advertising as it comes nearer.
Yeah. I mean, that was pre-E3, keep in mind, so maybe...
And I had some
E3?
friends as well that kind of had the similar reaction to the initial reveal last year.
They have been advertising new stages, like in every demo there's either Mirage Saloon or Studiopolis.
Yeah, I think it's sort of a double-edged sword. They want to sort of keep things secretive, or keep some surprises in there, but at the same time that sort of limits what new stuff you can show.
I was like, also keep in mind though that I don't think they ever say Studiopolis, the new stage. We know Studiopolis is a new stage because we play Sonic, but if you're a casual who's only played them once, you might be like, oh yeah, Studiopolis, that was probably one of the stages from a game I never played. You know what I'm saying? Like,
true.
We know Studiopolis is a new stage because we played all the Jet Classics.
So what you're saying is that it's almost too much of a fan game.
Yeah.
In most trailers, I think they have advertised new stages being there. Like in the announcement trailer.
I think it's hard to, because now you've mentioned it.
And I'm not saying that even if they are announcing like, oh, there's going to be new stages. I think the issue is more with how, average Joes will miss stuff like that. They might not pay attention to the whole trailer. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm thinking it's not going to sell super well. Because, I mean, once again, this is a guy who said he's super excited for the game. Like, and that's all he got from it was that it's going to be revamped. It's not even revamped, just going to be a collection of old Sonic stages. And this is from someone who was excited for the game. So, that's why I'm saying, like, it's probably not going to sell too well out of the Sonic fan base.
Yes.
In my opinion.
Yes. Sorry, just running on a bit there.
I know, I'm sorry.
It's fine. As I said, I would be interested to see what the pre-sales or the pre-order figures are. That'd be kind of fascinating. Yeah. But let's just go around and let's try and keep it pithy. Blazy,
I apologize.
No, it's fine, Yoto. Blazy, Mania and Forces, what do you think the ratings will be and what do you think the sales would be?
So Mania, it's going to be a critical darling. I honestly expect anywhere from 8 to 9 for it. I would like to think it'll sell well because digital and it's going to be relatively cheap at $20. But I have my suspicions just due to issues of presentability because of all the confusion of what exactly the game is to a lot of people, and I'm worried that. So basically, yeah, I'm kind of agreeing with Yoto here in that regard. Forces, I honestly have no clue at this point. I know critics are probably going to react similarly to it as they did to Unleashed and Generations, so probably about a 6 to 7. But I have no idea how it's going to sell is the thing. Like, the problem is that there's two very different reactions you have to consider here between specifically the Sonic fandom and then, of course, the rest of the gaming industry as a whole.
Well, the gaming player base, really, not the industry.
You know what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah, but point being is there's going to be two very, very different reactions to the game from these two fronts, and I think that's going to be very interesting to see how that pans out, and from there, who Sega decides to listen to.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of sad in some ways because Sonic's sort of almost doomed to fail because of its reputation. I don't know. Well, maybe that's a thing we can discuss in a future podcast. Garaco, what do you think?
I think the Mania, in terms of ratings, it's gonna hit like 9s and 8s, very very high scores. I don't think it's gonna reach a 10, obviously, because I think critics are quite
critical.
Well, yeah, it'll be like, oh, I wish there was more original stages, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But,
I've noticed that critics are a bit more harsh on throwback kind of things as of late.
Yeah,
maybe it's just exposure.
I think with sales, I agree with Yoto how like the media presence of Mania is sort of portrayed as, oh, it's it's the classics again. They don't seem to advertise it enough as a new classic game, and I think the lack of original stages and more throwback stages is the reason of that. But I also have a suspicion that even if they were all original stages, it would probably have that same issue. So in terms of sales, I think for the Sonic fandom, it's going to sell quite well. Outside, I think it will do all right. I think it's going to do as well as probably like Generations and Colors in terms of sales. For Forces, it's probably going to reach Unleashed status, where it has sort of okay scoring and okay sales. I think Sonic Forces looks better now after E3 than it did beforehand. So they're revealing everything and it's sort of helping to connect the dots. But we really don't know enough for me to say one way or another how well it's going to do.
Yeah, I mean that's actually a good point to bring up. I mean, I suppose, well, we'll go through Panzer, then Rick, and then myself. But I mean, how people's expectations and sort of feelings towards the game have changed since they've last seen it. Rather, I don't know, it's just an interesting way of gauging our interest. So, Panzer, Mania and Forces, what do you think the ratings and sales will be like?
Well, Mania's getting glowing reception all across the board. Like it's been getting so much attention each convention or whatever it shows up at. And outside of the Sonic, like inside the Sonic fandom, it's been getting so much praise. And outside of the Sonic fan base, it's been garnering a lot more interest than I've seen any Sonic game ever. And I expect it to get at least 8s or 9s in terms of reviews. And this might be a little far-fetched, but I expect it to almost break 1 million.
I think it will break 1 million, to be honest. I would not be surprised at all if it broke 1 million sales. And Sonic Forces.
Sonic.
Sorry, you cut out there, or maybe
it's probably going to get like 5 or 6s, maybe sell at least maybe 200,000.
So not particularly optimistic there.
And oh wait, are we not starting with how we feel?
No, I think we'll just do that after. I don't know. It's just random thought. We can do that now. Yeah, might as well.
I'm getting a bit more of a feel for how this game might be, and the more I look at it, the more desensitized I get to it.
So is that getting better or getting worse?
I'm not sure.
Well,
I'm still very much worried about how the gameplay will turn out because it doesn't seem like they're making any significant improvements.
Yeah. So are you going to buy it or not? I don't know.
Well, of course I'm going to buy it. I'm a Sonic fan.
Okay then, Rick. Mania Forces and how you feel. Well, how's your opinion changed so far?
Well, with the absolute nothing I've seen of Mania, I'm going to go ahead and say it's a 9 or a 10 because I can. With Forces, I think Forces is going to pretty much be an 8, but I think the way it's going to go down and get received is going to probably be a 7 across the board. Like, I think if you actually, like, for the fan base who actually play it, I think it's going to do quite well, but for most people, they can't agree on anything, so it's not going to do as well as it should do because everyone's going to be upset that it wasn't their thing getting picked. The character creator is going to give it, like, a buff. Everybody's going to think that's a pretty cool, neat idea and about goddamn time kind of thing.
Well, if it's... I think it's a double-edged sword because, you know, it's cool for people who like that sort of thing, but it's also going to be really, you know...
It's kind of an autism magnet.
Yeah, well...
But that means sales.
True. And as speaking of sales...
But yeah, sales-wise, I don't know. I think Forces will probably sell quite well. I think Mania will do really well because Mania seems to be following the tracks of Mega Man 9, which I think did pretty well. And it's one of those, you know, return to form here. We're getting all this stuff coming back now, like Crash getting remastered and all the rest of that kind of stuff. Like, it is a big market to come in for the nostalgia, and for them to do a new game that's basically an old game, but sort of like a missing game, I think that's going to sell really well. And if they can nail it, and even if they make it like, you know, it doesn't have to be the best game ever made, it just has to be better than the last few, it will get really well received just because of how much of a drought there's been of good platformers in a classic style like that in such a long time.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't want to interrupt. I was going to say, I almost feel like that might almost stand to a hindrance a little bit because, you know, there has been such a push to, like, bring back, you know, classic games. I feel like now it almost feels derivative. You know what I mean?
Like,
I think it'll do better now since there's both, though, because rather than going, oh, Mania's good, but it's not a 3D game. So putting them both out at the same time, I think will give them slightly better scores because they won't be as much of a, well, I didn't get my slice of the cake because both like two sides are being served here. Maybe not 3, but definitely 2 are getting what they want.
That's actually a very good point.
Also, Yoto, you know, I'm not going to interrupt and then proceeds to interrupt. That's why I just... anyway, actually, just a minor thing, speaking about platformers. Bubsy's back.
I can't believe they didn't get Rob Paulson in for the role. What a shame. It's a pity the guy was only out with throat cancer, otherwise he could have come back too.
What, Rob Paulson's got
Rob Paulson, Rob Paulson had throat cancer. He's in remission. He's good. He's really fine now. He's back to doing his podcast and back to doing his show. But for the last year, he's been pretty much AWOL with it, which is why, like, Talking Toons podcast was down. He wasn't doing many appearances. Donnie got a bunch of lines cut down in the Ninja Turtle stuff, but he's good now. He's back on form.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. But yeah, I mean, Bubsy's back. So do you think that's going to... I mean, just coming hot off the heels of the fact that, you know, the character creator was sort of, you know, inferred to be Bubsy and all the rest of it. That is so weird.
The really timing is very strange, yeah.
Yeah.
We are living in the meme timeline.
I was gonna say,
it looked like it was another Gianna Sisters game that got reskinned right at the last minute, though.
Yeah, it looked.
It really does.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, my thing about the Bubsy game is
whatever it's called.
I remember when I first saw the trailer for the Bubsy game, I thought, wow, this looks like garbage. And then I was like, Yeah, I don't know what I was expecting. It's if anything, it is the most faithful reboot I've ever seen.
I would be more upset if it was good.
Yeah.
I just hope it sells enough for them to do another one. I want to see how far this train wreck goes.
Like, as soon as I started thinking, like, man, this doesn't look very good, and I'm like, I guess, yeah. I don't know why.
What's a random popular movie that they could parody for a subtitle for a 6th game?
Mad Max.
Mad Max? I don't know. Well, can we see Gex again? I want to see Gex.
Yeah, Gex comes back.
Gex
Well,
and
Square-
Era the
Square-
Acrobat and an awesome posse.
Not Bugsy Strikes Back?
Taz the Tasmanian Tiger.
we bring
Whiplash,
it
those
back
two
to
characters. Who are the characters? You ever played Whiplash? That game on the PS2 or something like that? Where it's like a weasel and a rabbit.
Yeah, I remember the one.
Who's
Microsoft is
the
never
boomerang?
bringing back Blinks.
Yeah, was that Taz the Tasmanian Tiger? The one
That
with
was
the boomerang?
Taz. That was Taz.
And
Yeah,
Vex.
you mean
and
Ty.
all the rest of it.
Ty the Tasmanian Tiger.
Great.
Ty. I
failed,
think we're all getting like
I kept saying
mixed
Taz.
up with the Warner Brothers characters.
Yeah,
Woo.
Taz.
Guys, just sorry. I know I brought this up, but I think we should just sort of.
You just instigated a mascot Royal Rumble here. That was a terrible move.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Get a
about
Sonic chat.
that. Right.
You're the Acrobat Man.
I was just about to. Gosh, I was about to say. Oh yes, also just one more thing. Have you noticed how funny it is that in that like Mario Rabbids crossover game, which I can't believe is actually happening, because it looks like XCOM with Mario or some other squad shooter. Have you noticed how the gun he uses is pretty much identical to
To a Wispun?
to the Wispun?
Yeah, I noticed that. One thing I was thinking, and this is a dumb joke, when I was like, Mario's always so hell-bent on topping Sonic. When Sonic released Forces, and it was like, it's like, oh man, they're gonna make the cringiest game ever. And Mario's like, I take that challenge.
Hold my beer. I got this.
Yeah. Actually, just another sort of interesting thing. I saw somebody complain online somewhere, like saying that, oh, why is it all right that this OC character gets a gun, but Shadow can't get a gun? And I was just saying to myself, well, the reason for that is because Shadow used a real gun, whereas this is like a cartoony, blob-shaped thing. There is
an actual pistol.
Shadow got his gun license revoked.
He doesn't need a gun license. He lives in America. He's free. United Federation.
I actually am kind of. When I stop to think about it, I wonder, like, really, the gun that he has on the cover of the game looks so silly compared to some of the renders that are around.
Yeah, but I just that picture of him with the Desert Eagle, whatever it was, or the M111. It just so
where with his back facing the screen. I guess you'd call it a screen. Yeah. I'm like, I kind of wonder why that wasn't used for the box art, actually, compared to what we actually did get.
Maybe it was because it was just too violent or too serious. Rick just made a great joke in chat. Super Smash Scots. For like the furry mascot crossover. Yeah.
Oh my god, I'd play the heck out of that though. I'm not even like, this isn't even a joke now.
I'm just starting a Kickstarter, you guys. I'm gonna take the name to Kickstarter and nothing else, and I'm gonna get what money I can get. I'm gonna go buy the license for like Sparkster and Era the Acrobat and all the rest of the cringy stuff, and I'm gonna do
How
it.
many 90s, early 2000s mascots? Can we get Crash Bandicoot in there?
I know Earthworm Jim was up for sale a couple of years ago.
I'm trying to remember the name of that. Like, there was a character like Ricky Rodent, Dangerous Rodent, or Dynamite Heady. We could put him in.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know the Spyro count.
Yeah, Spyro counts.
Jack and Dax.
Put them all in. Put all the rubbish characters in.
Yeah, like, I was gonna say, you say this. This game actually sounds like it'd be really fun.
Alright, but just please leave Banjo out. He doesn't deserve this.
Not anymore.
Put Banjo, Kazooie in, and Ukulele.
I'm putting the nuts and bolts Banjo in.
Just put.
Okay, that's fine.
Anyway, I think we've gone really off topic here, and we've sort of.
We have.
Yeah. So anyways,
let's just. I think. Oh, also my sales and expectations. I think it's the same as before. Mania's probably getting 9 out of 10, and I want to say 1 million sales. I do hope it's 1 million sales. because I would not be surprised if it got 1 million sales. Forces, 7 out of 10, and probably 500,000 at the best. That's the absolute best I could imagine it getting. So to just quickly wrap up, how was E3? Did you all like it? I guess we did. We saw a lot of.
I enjoyed a good chunk of games.
So specifically relating to Sonic, so we don't go really off the ball.
It was all right.
Yeah, I mean, we saw some good stuff, and I think I'm more excited for these games than I was before. So that's good marketing right there.
I enjoyed the half of the games I saw.
Yes.
Forces, right. I got more out of what was shown for Forces than what was shown for Mania, but that's because I was already so completely sold on Mania.
Yeah.
Wait, Rick, you're avoiding spoilers.
It sells itself.
Yeah, they showed more about Sonic Force than they did with Sonic Mania. I think that's a good thing because we haven't seen much relating to Sonic Mania, and I think it's looking less bad as we expected. I don't know. Anyway,
that's a pretty good review for a Sonic trailer, though. Less bad than it started when I first saw it.
Yes. Okay. Right. I think that
I'll have that on the back of the box when it comes out.
Okay. That concludes our special stage podcast. I think special stage is what I'll go for this sort of news-related podcast.
Yeah, I think it's a good name.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Anyway, I think from all of us here, it's a nice little goodbye. Let's just go around the table here. Blazy.
Later.
Au revoir.
Panzer. Don't say goodbye. Yeah.
I really want Mario Odyssey. I really want it.
Traitor.
I was gonna say you traitor. I do too.
I didn't even see it.
That's what Nintendo.
Oh God, guys! I was just possessed by Mario, and he was compelling me to advertise his game.
I didn't even see it.
Dude, how was it having
Odyssey.
the mustache?
God, okay. Can we just say goodbye, please?
Yeah, farewell.
Okay. Okay. Goodbye, everybody, and goodbye from all of us here, and thanks for listening. And
What about bugs?
I don't know. I mean, I still sort of do. Right. Okay. Okay. Just before we go, let's do some plugs. From myself, Not Enough Sonic Blog. I think that's about it, really. The Annotation Station. Yeah, the link's in the description. It's all there. It's all good. Blazy?
I don't have a new one because I try to have a new plug every week, but I don't this time, so I'm just going to repeat my old one. Go hit up those old Archie comic artists on Patreon because rip comics.
Yeah, we'll see about that. Garaco?
As usual, I draw things on Tumblr, and I have requests open, so yeah, do you want me to draw Buddy X Infinity? Because I can try to do that for you.
Okay.
Oh no.
Oh dear. Right, Panzer?
Nothing this week, but I do have the PodFAST Creator, where you can create your own podcast.
Okay. And Rick?
I got the usual. You can catch me on YouTube and Twitter at the Rick Mac, Tumblr at Rick Draws, the podcast that I do about the Choose Your Own Adventure stuff at Rick and Maddie, and also you can catch me on the Kickstarter page for Super Smash Cuts. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
And Yoto?
You can listen to me at podnami.libsyn.com, where we watch Podnami and Toonami, and we can also we also have a series called Podgamon where we review old Pokemon episodes. I think it's pretty funny because I'm on it and I'm great. But yeah.
Also, Simple dropped out, I'm afraid, so I'm just going to say goodbye on his behalf. So, from me, goodbye, and from everybody else here, goodbye.
Yeah, farewell.
bye.
Thank you, everybody, for playing the game.
See you next year.
Next game.
I want Mario.
I'm kind of surprised that we none of us made a Fun is Infinite joke.